Josiah Wannemacher, and in this video we'll be demonstrating how to do the hyperthermia bath, also known as a fever bath. This is a personal favorite of mine because it demonstrates many of the mechanisms that God has put in place to help us fight and combat disease. My friend here, AJ Norzo, is going to help me demonstrate this. Throughout the duration of the video, we will be explaining some of the key things that we are doing and also more of the science behind why this is so effective. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. It's important to consult with a qualified health professional that is familiar with the pathophysiology of hydrotherapy and the condition of the one receiving the therapy. In order to gauge how your friend is handling the therapy, it is imperative to take baseline vitals before so that you will be able to recognize abnormal values and be able to track progress over the course of future sessions. The vitals that you should be taking are blood pressure, pulse, oxygen saturation, and temperature. I will be using an oral thermometer throughout the course of this treatment. Be sure to thoroughly explain the process of the therapy and what they may expect. I find it very beneficial if the individual that you're working with understands more of the science and the underlying physiology that is taking place during the treatment. I like to pray to God with each individual I work with. So let's pray now and thank God for His many blessings and ask the Holy Spirit to guide our conversation and the treatment. Have your friend check the temperature of the water and help him into the water. The degree of help that you give will vary depending on the abilities of the person you're working with. Remember, the more comfortable he is, the longer he will be able to endure. So place a towel behind his head or whatever else will help him. Regularly ask how he's doing, and in this case, AJ's doing great. Make sure to keep him well hydrated as he will be sweating incrementally more as his temperature rises. Start your timer when he is comfortably in the tub. I will be checking his vitals every 10 minutes and documenting them on a sheet of paper that I will show you at the end of this video. Try to limit the time when you give him water to immediately after the temperature has been checked. This will allow for a more accurate oral temperature reading. I have given this therapy hundreds of times. Most of those have occurred in normal 40 to 60 gallon tubs. If that's your case, lay a towel over all the extremities that are not under the water, including the chest, but not the head. And with a pitcher of water, regularly pour the water over the towel to maintain a consistent temperature. This will raise the temperature more consistently and efficiently. Scoop the water in a way that encourages the water to circulate around the tub. This will heat the body more efficiently through convection in addition to the conduction. This therapy is enhancing many mechanisms that the body has to fight infections, tumors, correct mutations, and improve healing time. You can learn more about the physiologic benefits of hydrotherapy here. White blood cells are constantly in circulation in low levels, looking for foreign invaders such as a virus, bacteria, or some other microorganism that shouldn't be in the body, or it's in the wrong place. If the acting scouts of the immune army find a pathogen or foe, they might stimulate a fever response so that more white blood cells become recruited into circulation. To achieve this fever response, the hypothalamus temporarily changes the normal baseline body temperature from 89.6 to, let's say, 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So now you begin to feel cold and shiver, so that rapid contraction and relaxation of skeletal muscle will elevate the body temperature. Because your current body temperature is all of a sudden 4 degrees under what your hypothalamus has set as the new normal. The results of this increase in temperature are enormously beneficial. The intrinsic effect of heat is to increase metabolism systemically. Metabolism, by the way, is defined as the chemical processes that occur within a living organism in order to maintain life. So this includes the metabolism of white blood cells. So not only does it increase the activity and function of the white blood cells, but the elevation in temperature is actually the signal or the call for white blood cells to come out of the immune army barracks, which happens to be the lymph nodes, and they're coming out into circulation so they can fight the infection. So this hyperthermia bath can be partially explained as working by creating a controlled artificial fever. But under some circumstances, one's body can't actually mount a fever response. This may be due to being weak, not having enough energy, or the immune cells misdiagnosing the seriousness or severity of the threat. It may also even be overlooking the threat altogether, or some other mechanistic reason we can't actually get into right now for time's sake. Also, a virus and bacterium are thermally weak. Another powerful mechanism that is at play during a hyperthermia bath are heat shock proteins. These proteins play an important role in activating receptors of the innate immune system. They also act as internal chaperones and provide multiple cytoprotective maintenance services in normal cells when they are expressed. This expression is multiplied under physical and heat stress conditions. Heat shock proteins provide functions essential for maintaining protein homeostasis, protein folding, refolding, unfolding, transport, translocation, and protect against degradation. They protect against pathological expression of transforming mutations. Heat shock proteins are upregulated under conditions of cellular stress and protect cells from severe damage and premature death. When tumor cells are exposed to hyperthermic conditions, heat shock proteins are presented on the tumor cell's surface, where they signal to T-cell lymphocytes to become cytotoxic towards that tumor. That's incredible. So at what temperature are these wonderful proteins triggered at? Well, humans are induced to make heat shock proteins when the temperature is raised to several degrees above their normal body temperature. It's actually also on a spectrum, so as the temperature increases, so does the function of these heat shock proteins. A warm bath improves blood fluidity by decreasing the viscosity of the blood, enabling it to circulate more like water and less like molasses or honey. So let's talk about temperature for a moment. Depending on what the primary reason for doing the therapy is, we are striving for an oral temperature of 102 degrees Fahrenheit. This is considered to be optimal fever temperature. This is great for stimulating the immune system, heat shock proteins, creating that thermal toxic environment towards mutated cells and microorganisms. These, virus, bacteria, and tumors don't actually thermoregulate very well. It's important to note, though, that this increase in immune activity is on a spectrum, gradually increasing as temperature increases. So if you don't happen to reach 102, it's not as if there's no benefit immunologically. When utilizing the hyperthermia bath as a therapy for cancer, it's advised to strive for an oral temperature closer to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, in adults only, of course. Interestingly enough, chemotherapy is actually enhanced by hyperthermia. This is most likely due to heat shock proteins increasing the sensitivity of the receptors the pharmaceutical drug is trying to attach to. Or it could be that the hyperthermic condition is functioning despite the drug altogether, and it's a false correlation. Regardless, the heat helps. Individuals will tolerate and endure the therapy better with repeated sessions. You can expect the therapy to take an hour or more, spending at least 20 to 30 minutes around fever temperature. This does not include the crucial resting period after the bath. It's important to monitor the heart rate and ensure that it does not exceed 140 beats per minute. If it's near 140, place an ice bag over the heart. The heart rate will respond within a minute or less in my experience. You can also coach them through breathing exercises such as 4-7-9. No need to add any more hot water for this session. If the heart rate does not come down, simply end the treatment calmly with cold water. You should know though, in my experience, I have never not seen the cold water work to slow down the heart rate. If possible, maintain conversational communication throughout the therapy. This enables you to help meet the social and spiritual needs of your friend. Be sure to direct the conversation towards topics that elevate and uplift, and that are not negative or lead to anxiety, anger, or bitterness. This also helps you to be aware of how alert they are and assess their breathing. It is important to keep the head cool during the therapy. I achieve this with a hand towel and a large bowl of ice water. I'm frequently wiping his brow and face and leaving the soaking towel over his head. Some people appreciate the water dripping down over their head and others not so much, so be sure to ask. Neurons and other cells in the brain are not as thermally robust and resilient as other cells in the body. They will actually begin to degrade and lead to structural changes if intracranial temperatures reach to 106 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. This is why many healthcare professionals will give people, especially children, antipyretics, which pharmaceutically reduce a fever. However, this need not always be the case. The fever response is very beneficial at many levels, some of which we have learned about. What we really must emphasize is checking the oral temperature and keeping the head cool and allowing and aiding the body in its designed physiologic processes. Specific oxygen saturation should not drop below 93. Optimal is 98 to 100. If your friend is hyperventilating, simply try coaching them through the breathing technique 4-7-9, or have them breathe calmly into a brown paper bag. Gradually and incrementally heat the water throughout the duration of the therapy, as long as your friend is stable and content. The water temperature should not exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Be sure to check his vitals every 10 minutes. This will help you be able to track progress of the hyperthermia bath and rule out confounding symptoms which might come up in consecutive sessions. Be sure to end with a cold spray or even pour the remaining ice water over the friend you're helping. He may not be your friend for that moment, but trust me, he will come around. The cold causes the capillaries in the dermis to constrict, helping to prevent orthostatic hypotension, which is essentially fainting upon standing up. Also, the hyperthermia bath can be physically exhausting for some, depending on the length and intensity. So just be prepared to support them and even catch them should they fall. Recommend that they get up slowly or in stages. As you can see, AJ did not do any of that. He was completely fine. At the end of the treatment, have a room prepared for him to be able to rest for at least 45 minutes. If doing this at your friend's house, I would typically do the hyperthermia bath in the evening before he goes to bed so that he can simply go to bed at the end of the treatment. If you are to do that, consider placing a plastic sheet underneath his sheets so that he doesn't get his bed wet with sweat. Be sure to check his vitals and stay nearby so that you can attend to him should he need something. Always end by thanking God for the privilege to be His hands and His feet while ministering to the needs of your friend. Pray that God's holy purposes will be worked out in the life of your friend.